Welcome to Mindset Equestrian, where we aim to encourage and spread positive education in and amongst the equine community, all breeds, disciplines, shapes, and abilities. I'm here doing part 3 of a lateral series. This could be really basic. So for any of you all who are doing Grand Prix or hardcore horsemanship or think you're like a superstar, this isn't going to be for you. This is going to be teaching a rider and teaching a horse how to do or see and visualize some, not all, of the lateral movements. I'm happy to continue this series. I'm happy to continue just about anything. That's what Mindset Equestrian is for, is education. We are using a Gypsy Vanner 5-year-old named North Fork Guapo's Iceman. He has been spectacular this year at Worlds. He got a little bit quick, and so we decided to go ahead and put a little shank bit on him to work with him on some things. As our goal is to progress in all kinds of disciplines and a lot of different kinds of shows next year. So you will see me riding with 2 hands, and that's how I train young horses to a shank bit. You eventually, ideally want to be able to ride one-handed. In Western dressage, you can ride in a shank bit with 2 hands. So you will see me adjusting my hands on both reins. So if that's seeming foreign, that's why. This video is not brought to you by anyone. Welcome to Mindset Equestrian. Thanks for watching. You're welcome to visit my website. I highly implore any of you all that are new to the riding experience, new to your horse, or really want to document your journey for the next 365 days. I do have a Mindset Equestrian journal on Amazon that helps kind of guide you through what each week should look like and what to document and what you might notice and not notice in changes in your horse. In video 1, we discussed pressure points, the jaw, the chest, the shoulder blade, and how to kind of get them to maneuver off of those. We also mentioned that we want the horse to be able to move their front foot across in front of the other foot. So the boots are on uneven. The boots are brought to you by Shady 5 Tack, which is a rental company. You can purchase whatever you like. However, it is a rental company, so you can try all kinds of things. So we mentioned pressure points, and we mentioned that our pressure point status is hair, skin, muscle, and bone. And that goes the same for undersaddle. If I'm on a new horse, I'm not going to come out and like wallop on them. I'm going to kind of squeeze, maybe just kick them to see what kind of gas pedal they have and what kind of brakes they have. What we're doing is a series that will help a lot of riders and teams on the ground, which is the first 2 videos, and under saddle in the winter months when the ground is a little harder, the ground is a little bit wetter, the light is a little bit more limited. They're just not able to, get that circle correct, and they keep falling in on the shoulder. And that's going to be a strength issue and a balance issue. And a lot of people have limited time in the winter, completely understandable. These are great Pilates type, handling type of exercises that you can do on the ground and under saddle that will translate into your active riding, your Western dressage, your Western, your dressage, your hunter under saddle, your hunter jumper, and your eventers. So Indy is still learning a whole bunch of this stuff. I am in an English tack. I'm in a Western saddle. This saddle fits this horse best, and it happens to fit myself as well. So we're using the tack that fits the horse best. And so let's just go ahead and get started. I'm literally I've turned the camera on and have just sat on him. But in our first videos, I did do a whole bunch on the ground. There is a pole here. The first thing that you want to do when you're working any kind of lateral under saddle is make sure that all of your pedals work on your vehicle. And what do I mean by that? If I say whoa and mean it, and again, I say whoa a lot, so I don't want him to whoa every time I say whoa. I want him to whoa when I ask for a whoa. Good boy. So if you notice, what I did differently was I kind of tilted back with my body. I have taught him in the Western saddle for his mom as well. We're going to push our feet forward a little bit, and I'm going to lift up on these reins. Again, we have the curb rein. If I say whoa and I mean it versus just kind of walking around and saying whoa, there's going to be a difference. If I say go, 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 he shouldn't move his feet. If I cluck, 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 he won't move until and add a little leg. Good boy. So I want to make sure that I am very diligent about my cues. If I say whoa to this horse and don't actually mean it, then I'm going to have a hard time when I actually do mean it. So if I say whoa, good. Now what I'm teaching him is the ability to be able to just listen to my body and not my voice. However, I also want him to listen to my voice. And this goes for trailer loading on the ground as well. There's a lot of new disciplines where you can show and use vocals, and I like that. I like that my riders, because I do have a lot of kind of para type riders or riders that have some physical limitations. They can use their voice. They can mean what they say. So again, I haven't taught him to whoa because I teach his mom and I say whoa a lot, and she talks to me and she says whoa and go a lot, and so we don't want him dull to the word whoa. We want him to listen to the aids. What a good boy. I want to go ahead and ask him to back up. So my backup is going to be a bicycle pedal backwards. If you notice, he already kind of got a little in cue. I'm going to kind of lean back and just kind of very softly ask him to bicycle pedal backwards. I'm not going to guide him, good boy, and then I'm going to stop my ask. When I stop, I'm going to reward him. He's going to lick and chew. The goal is to stop the ask. You'll see a lot of new riders panicking because they're pulling and the horse is running backwards. They haven't stopped the ask, right? We talked in video 1 about when a horse is backing, we take note of something. So if I want to kind of bicycle pedal backwards, I want to ask you to back up. If you notice, he kind of leans a little left, a little right. I'm not correcting anything right now because what I have done and what we're doing in video 1, 2, and 3 is we're getting a response to our ask. I asked this horse to back up and I did not micromanage that ask. I said, hey, can and will you back up, and will you do it in a slow, rhythmic fashion until I say whoa? And his answer was, yes, ma'am, absolutely. So I'm not going to be here upset and critical that in a warm-up backup, he might have shifted a hip, right? That's for later videos. That's for later training. Right now, if I say go and he goes, I'm happy. If I say whoa and he whoas, I'm happy. I have the different colored boots on so you can see the boots and see them laterally. And all I'm going to do is, with the shank bit, I'm going to lift up my hands and I'm going to ask him evenly. I want you to kind of almost imagine, and you can take your whip if you need to, and hold it and say, imagine I'm holding my hand up and I'm going to take both hands sideways and I'm going to cue with this leg because I want his right front leg to cross in front of his left. If you've watched our first couple of videos, you know that he crosses his right front well, which he's not gonna right now. The left front is his struggle bus. I'm gonna relax because I asked him to move and he did. He didn't do it the way that I wanted. So again, I'm just holding the whip just to make sure that you guys see, because a very common thing for a rider to do is to tug on the rein, good boy. And if you notice, he naturally already curls his neck. I want to stay even on my contact so that I can teach him to one hand eventually. I know his leg just went behind the other leg, it just went in front, good boy. So I'm gonna praise that. So I'm going to do the same thing the other way. I'm going to ask him, hey, can I get your left leg? So now I'm kind of kicking him a little with my left leg. Oh, good boy. Can I get your left leg to cross? He's just kind of reassessing himself. Good boy. So it's not perfect, but he did what I asked him to. And again, this is a warm-up. And I want to be really clear. I cannot start off with a defeatist attitude or my entire ride and my drive home will be defeatist. I asked the horse to yield, he yielded, and now my job as his trainer right now is to fix and perfect, correct? So it might even mean that I need to walk him out and come back to something. But I am pretty good with my hands. You all will correct me if I'm wrong, or whether I'm not or whatever. But I'm going to now kind of use this whip near his shoulder. So again, I'm just kind of having the whip. I am confident with the whip. And so I'm going to, again, kind of ask him to move that shoulder. Good boy, and he did. You notice the minute he does something, I put my hand down, praise. Because if I'm doing a reining pattern and I put my hand down, I've done my 4 1/4 spins or 3 1/4 or whatever the pattern calls for. I want my horse to be able to stop. Good. Good, so I'm going to ask that again. That seemed to be a little bit of a stickler for him. Good boy, and then whoa. Good. Now I'm going to flip the whip over. I'm going to ask the same thing on the other side. You notice he's quick with his neck. Good boy. I'm going slow. If I feel like he gets a little bit quick, I'm going to stop immediately, because any kind of quickness or slowness is a balance issue. He is turning through the body here. I'm not overwhelmed with it. I'm just going to continue to ask him to move that left shoulder, and I'm going to ask him to move it again. I'm opening one hand and I'm closing the other, but my hands are following each other. I'm just going to ask him to do something I know that's hard for him. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And again, what you're getting is what most of us would give. She asks so much of me. We just did this. That's really hard for me. Good boy. Well, good job. Good. So I'm going to walk him out and we're going to do that again. Now, I'm going to walk him out on a loose rein and let him completely relax and have a nice time. And again, I want to take note. He gets a little bit kind of crooked with his neck. That's what he likes to do. He did this on the groundwork video as well. He turns his neck a little bit. And I also want to point out, like, he can ride one-handed. Good boy, whoa. Good. So again, I'm going to start to say, hey, can I ask for you to just make a turn? Good. And then walk out. Good. And then I'm going to make another turn. I am adding my leg, and I'm going to try to do as much as I can towards the camera so you can kind of see that I'm also adding my leg. Good boy. So maybe he needs, because this is already much better than the standing, maybe he needs to have a little bit of a forward motion in his training. And this is kind of a game that we play. It's a question that we ask of, maybe he needs to be going more forward and then brought back to a smaller place. I loved that. That was lovely. So that he understands that his feet should move. Remember, this is a draft breed or a cart breed. And so they're used to, oh, that was much better, wasn't it? Was much better, wasn't it? That was much better. Yeah, that's much better. So what you got to just watch firsthand, because I think this is probably the first, maybe second time I've done this with him under saddle, is me kind of playing on what Indy works best with. And so it's much better for him and his rider if we kind of move forward a little bit, because his owner would certainly love to walk forward a little bit and do this, and she's quite good with using her legs. He gets really stumped from a standstill. So again, I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to ask him to side pass. Now this is where it's going to come in a little bit funky. I'm using the pole in front of him because I know personally if the pole is underneath him, like that, he can get a little bit in his head, and I don't want to, and I'll kind of show you what that means. He's already a little bit braced in his neck, which is a dressage term. I'm just going to ask him to move his hip and then move his shoulder. And if you notice, the first thing he does is he wants to get on the other side of the pole. And like we did in video 1 and video 2, I'm still going to ask for my sideways. Good, 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 good. Now my leg is not forward and it is not back. My leg is directly at the rib cage because I'm asking 2 different sets of feet to move, and I'm not going to go forward and back a ton. I'm going to lift up a little bit so I'm engaging with him. I'm going to ask him to kind of move over. My hands are going to follow each other. He does get blocked this way. So here's what we're going to do. We've already learned that Indy does really, really well if we have a moving horse. So I'm just going to aim for the pole. Just trying to keep my reins even. My hands are going to follow each other, which is subsequently going to help us follow the balance. And I'm going to aim towards the far side of this pole. And as I'm approaching it, I'm going to go ahead and start to say, hey, can I get you to go ahead and walk on over? Can I get you to move your hip over? Can I get you to move your, yeah, it's fine. Yeah, yeah, good. And again, this is just a stump. Like, he's like, what do you want? What do you want? You want sideways? Do you want my shoulder? Do you want my hip? Good boy. And that's what you're watching is normal training. It's not easy. We got to kind of help our friend out, and we've got to be quiet and calm while we do it. And we have to isolate. So I want you to move your shoulder. Your hips are dragging a little bit there, buddy. Good job. And I want you to move sideways. Yeah, he's backed away from the pole, but we'll get there. Yeah, good boy. Now, in video 4, we're going to talk about, the boxes that we kind of go through with the showmanship. Not necessarily showmanship. What is it? In-hand work. So he gets a little stumped with the left, and he makes it very clear he gets a little stumped with the left. So we're going to walk a little figure 8 and get him a little bit more free. So there's the trail patterns where you have to kind of get into a box and spin out of the box a little bit. Good boy. There's working Western. There's all kinds of pattern work where you have to use a pole, side pass over a pole, back out from some poles. But there's some opinions. So we're going to say, hey, let's spin. Now, can I just get you, remember, turn on the forehand where we move the haunches around the front is now going to come into effect. We've done this in video 2. Where we talked about, and those are our half vaults that we talked about. It doesn't matter what we're doing as long as we kind of pulse the rein or pulse the balance. Say, move your hip. And when I put my whip here, that means move your hip. So if I want to move your shoulder, I'm going to touch your shoulder. And now I'm going to say, hey, move your hip too. And then shoulder, and then hip too. And now I'm off the camera. So I'm kind of addressing differently than I did in video 2, where I said, hey, I'm going to continue on asking for the crossover no matter what his response is. What you're seeing is that I'm taking note of what he needs help with. Well, good. And he needs help understanding your hip moves over too. If you notice, he wants to push into that pressure. And I'm not going to use the term he wants to. That tends to cause a bit of an argument with the rider and the horse. My job is to figure out how to get him to want to do something different. And I think that's kind of the hard thing. It's really hard to teach this horse to physically do something he doesn't know how to do. It's hard for him, and that he may not want to. Good boy. So there's our side pass for the day. Later, we'll talk about leg yields and shoulder ends. later when he's more comfortable. And why? Because again, we're still learning all this stuff and I don't want to overwhelm this horse. I hope that helps. I hope that shows you like true training. It wasn't pretty, it wasn't lovely, but it is how I train in a positive manner. And now I have a positive horse, and now his mom's going to go get on and hopefully have a positive ride. But that's how we adapt and stay quiet and positive while we're riding. I had an epiphany, and I think his mom just did, of, oh, he can't handle being still when we're first warming him up. He needs to kind of move a little bit, and then he gets those the engines working. Thanks for riding with us. Hope that helps. Next time we'll be one-handed. Look at us. Look at us. Good boy. Thanks for watching Mindset Equestrian. As always, please like, follow, and subscribe.